Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I want to talk about when you are targeted. Look, there are people that are targeted, for example, by the government because they're involved in criminal gangs. So police are targeting them to check what they're doing, or maybe human traffickers that are targeted by the government, or you may have people who are just children that are targeted by cults for blood sacrifice. Such things happen, okay? But I'm not talking about such stuff. I'm talking about you, believer, when you are targeted. Okay? Look, you need to understand the following. Since the foundation of societies, there has been targeted individuals. And look, it comes down to the following. People don't want to acknowledge inner impoverishment. That emptiness, that darkness on the inside. They absolutely don't want to acknowledge it. So, instead of repenting unto the Most High, they, in their pride, they wanna how to say it? They wanna distract themselves from the inner impoverishment. They do this by joining groups or by joining the collective distraction, which what we call society, and they become attached and bonded emotionally and mentally to things and to other people. But here's the catch. They're in bondage. They have all these compulsions. And the darkness is still there. They're just driven by pure fear. But they're not aware that it's fear that's driving them. So all the negative energy that's generated because of this, they will need to dump it somewhere. Because or else everyone's going to rage against each other and begin literally to massacre one another. So in order to distract themselves from being confronted with both their negative energy and both their defects, their spiritual defects, in the sense that they don't want to acknowledge the inner impoverishment, and the inner impoverishment itself, which is the emptiness, the darkness, the unconsciousness. In order to be distracted from all of that, they focus all their negative energy and pain upon certain targets. And often those targets are people who can't defend themselves, or people that have some defects in either their character or they have some vulnerability economically. Now, if you want to do research about the subject, please do it. I encourage your own research. What I just want to point out here is that an individual that has been targeted is only targeted because of the need of entertainment of others that don't want to repent. Haven't you considered the possibility that maybe you are targeted not because of something you did, not because of some defect you have, or maybe not even because there is some curse or generational curse upon you. You can be simply targeted because you are born into a family that is considered by others as low people. Or maybe you're part of an ethnic minority in a country, and the ethnic minority has been deemed unworthy by the rest of society. Or maybe you're not from a minority, but maybe it can just be that people need a scapegoat. I'm going to give an illustration because I want you to understand what I'm saying here. I want to keep it short, so here I go. You have a woman called Carla. She's in her 30s. She has no children. She's not married. Almost all her relationships failed. And she has a very distant, she has low to almost no contact with her relatives. She only has about 2 people that she considers her friends and who check out on her. She has a part-time job, enough to pay rent, and she doesn't cause anyone trouble. During Carla's lifetime, as far as she can remember, she was always blamed and targeted by her parents, by the people around her. At school, at the work, also later at the workplace, in high school also. And it was after college that it began to become less. And now there was this one teacher at her high school that used to target her. Now this teacher, let's say she's a woman, she's married to a man that's emotionally unavailable, because that man has not never learned how to handle emotions and feelings. So that man, her husband, often belittles her and screams against her. But at the same time, the teacher is quite manipulative, and she manages to control the man, despite it being a risk for her to be beaten by him or yelled at. So that man is not good for her mental health. Why is she still with the man? Because that teacher is manipulative. She is quite lazy, and she just wants to get things at the expense of others, and she always has an excuse for it. So the fact that she chose to remain with that man and even marry the man is her own doing. Okay, but she doesn't want to take responsibility for marrying such a man, and she doesn't want to take responsibility for endangering herself and for also endangering her own relatives, because that man, her husband, is also acting out violently against other people, and she's condoning it, so she's also contributing to that. She doesn't want to acknowledge all of this. So when she saw Carla in the class the first time, and Carla was a bit distant, she felt comfortable at picking on Carla and later even lash out against her all the time. This way she discharged herself of the negative energy and the symptoms that were around her. Because she was doing this, she didn't have much physical tensions anymore, and there was a healing effect happening on her body, and also at home there were less fights. Her relationship with her husband became a little bit more peaceful. Their sex life improved. There was a healing effect. Why? She just discharged her negativity onto Carla. When Carla graduated, things began to go wrong in that teacher's house again. So now she had to look for another scapegoat. And then there were the parents of Carla. The grandfather of Carla used to doubt whether his son, which is the father of Carla, was really his son. But it was proven later that that child is really his son. But still, the man did not want to admit that he was insecure, and he doesn't want to admit that his wife was also cheating even before they were married. Okay, but still, this has brought a heavy emotional tension in the household, and that son was also annoyed against his father for being such an asshole, basically, towards him during his youth, and also towards his siblings, which are his other children, the children of the father, I mean. So the father of Carla later got married, but from time to time, the grandfather of Carla still became suspicious, even though there was DNA evidence that that child was really his. Why? Because that man did not get over all the betrayal and all the emotional abuse of his wife and the ridicule of his friends, because they knew his wife was cheating. At the time, he was just dating her. She was his girlfriend, and she was cheating. And he does not want to explain why he remained with a woman that was cheating on him. Why didn't just throw her away and date some other woman that was more honorable towards him? So that man certainly has issues. So later, after his son, which was proven to be his son, got married, he still had this suspicion, which was a distraction from his own inner impoverishment. And the father of Carla also was not healed from his anger towards his own father. So to prevent him going against his wife, he just went against his children, especially Carla, because Carla was the most vulnerable one emotionally. So basically, you have a teacher that took advantage of Carla, and she had her own parents and grandparents. And there were people around that noticed what was going on, but they didn't dare to speak out because they didn't want to get the violence of those perpetrators upon them. In their cowardice, they approved what was happening to Carla, and they so-called tried to help Carla, but only in a way to they were basically cooperating with the perpetrators to not admit that they are also impoverished on the inside by permitting and agreeing with this to happen. So you had cousins that would try to so-called befriend Carla and talk with Carla just to hide what was going on. Now, this is what you need to understand here. When you are targeted, it's because people need an outlet for their inner pain and their denied pain. But the healing effect they are getting from targeting you, because there is a healing effect, there is some payoff, or else they want to become addicted to it. It will only last for a while. When you're out of the picture, they can still target you in their conversations, in their rumors, in their gossiping, as long as things are going wrong with you. The moment things are well with you, you are operating in anointing, you have victory in your life, and there's no sign at all of there's abuse that it ever happened to you. What's going to happen now? Not only is there going to be a backlash on them, which would come anyway, now the backlash is going to become bigger because the individual they deemed unworthy is now reigning in life. So what you will have is, let me just go to the illustration of Carla. When Carla is 32 years old, some college friends begin to contact her again to see how she's doing. Well, Carla, she's relatively alright. But after a few weeks, Carla asks the former college friend, why did you contact me again? And Evelyn, which is a college friend Carla used to hang out with during college, tells her, Carla, you remember those other students that were talking bad about you? That were looking strange at you and all of this? Look at what I'm saying here. Those people, their lives are completely messed up. The only thing they have is they have a job. They have an income. And that's all they have. Their connections to other people, how they're thinking is completely, they have become far worse than they were during college. I just wanted you to know that the only reason they targeted you was because they didn't want to take responsibility. They wanted to get rid of the symptoms, but they didn't want to acknowledge their disease as a disease. Instead, they called it something else, and they had to dump the symptoms somewhere else. So, and Carla, I approved it. I also had my own impoverishment on the inside, and I wanted to apologize to you. What I did was completely out of order. Forgive me. And Carla is, her eyes are open now, and she forgives Evelyn. They both move on. But why did I generate this fictional account? Because I want to point out to you that when you are targeted, I'm talking to you as a believer, it has nothing to do with you. I gave this illustration just to illustrate to you how things might happen. And here's the thing, it's not only believers that are targeted. You also have wicked people are targeted. You also have criminals are targeted. Look, someone can be targeted. Let me say it better. Let's say you have a thief somebody broke into houses. He or she, because there are also women that do such things, they're not innocent in a sense that they do no wrong. But they are innocent when it comes to being blamed for the dangers of the community. So their innocence is structural. Okay? But the thing is, you don't have to be guilty of anything to be targeted. The thing is, society just needs people to blame unconditionally all the time. And when you are a believer, when you're not a part of this world, expect to be targeted. I'm not saying to be paranoid. I'm not saying to be bothered by it. No, just realize it will happen. Because listen, if they've targeted Jesus, who do you think you are as a follower of Jesus that you're not going to be targeted? Look, when you're a believer and you're targeted, it only has to do with you being in Christ. Because listen, you're not a sinner anymore. You're born again. Yes, you still have sin. You still have sinful issues, though you having the residue of sin in your body and in your soul. That's why you need to be renewed in your mind. That's why you need to be transformed with the renewing of your mind in order to agree with Christ, so that you will operate in newness of life. But them targeting you has to do with they can't stand it, that they are left behind in pain, in emptiness, in darkness, while you, who you used to be also in darkness, are now developing into quality and into newness of life. They can't stand that. They'll either try to kill you like they did Jesus, or they try to defame you, because they don't want to accept reality as it is. As a believer, expect to be opposed, expect to be resisted, expect to be persecuted. But here's the good news. When you are a believer and these things happen to you, don't be afraid of it. Don't be bothered by it. I'm not saying to deny it and to be delusional. No, it happens. Just realize it's a sign that you're growing and developing. Because look, if you claim to be a believer, but there's no resistance at all against you, then I begin to doubt whether things are all right with you. I'm not going to doubt your salvation, but it can be that you're still bonded in your thinking. And it's because you're bonded in your thinking that makes you just like the world. And because you're just like the world does not feel their darkness. Because when you are light and you're shining, they're going to become uncomfortable. So if they're not uncomfortable around you, now I'm not saying that you need to make people uncomfortable. Absolutely not. I'm not talking about such nonsense. You're not making people uncomfortable. You're being kind. You're being loving towards other people. But you need to understand, when someone is in darkness, light is perceived as a threat onto them. Because the moment light enters in, their impoverishment is exposed. And they don't want this to happen. So if you are a believer, but you're not being persecuted at all, there's no resistance at all against you, don't see it as a compliment, as if you're performing well. Especially when the world is recommending you, especially then you need to be being to ask some questions. Well, that being said, you all, be at peace, and remember, the Lord said, in the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. So yes, realistically we can expect tribulation, but we should above all of that expect to overcome and expect victory, because that's promised unto us. Be at peace.